You're ready to be premature all over again.
Wow, that's impressive.
Quick
bro.
reset. Quick reset.
Yeah, that's right. Licking gin balls.
It's just going to be a vicious cycle.
Who knew the job was pro bono?
I was so high that I shit myself at some point.
Okay, get still here. Somebody, everybody mute. Goddamn, you're killing me.
My SEAL Team 6 went to SEAL Team 12.
There's nothing wrong with punching above your weight.
To play with you.
better. Well,
I don't know what's worse. You're a ginger or you've been vaccinated.
You sit around and drink and solve the world's problems, right?
Hey, let's go ahead and unwrap this present and let the debate begin.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is a new week. It is another new topic. Some sad news, unfortunately. It is with a heavy heart that we do have to mention that potentially we have lost one of our own. It has been a tough weekend dealing with that, but the four horsemen no longer ride together as four horsemen. Right now, we're down to three. And so it's been a little trying time around here in the studio, but we're muddling through. We're getting through together with what's left, but we're not going to let that kind of bring the mood in the room down. So today's topic is going to be a special one. We're looking forward to it. That's why we're here. Obviously, before we do that, gentlemen, I know it's been a tough week, but how's everybody doing?
Boom, shaka, laka, motherfucker.
You just don't have it in you, do you?
I don't.
The energy's not
I don't
there.
have it in me today. I'm sorry.
I appreciate it, brother.
That's
I know.
all I can bring.
It's tough. It's tough, but you know what? We're all here. We're here to lift each other up. Yeah, we're here to lift each other up. We got to stay positive. That's what we're going to do. It's okay. It's okay.
Oh,
it's okay. And if I could pat you on the back, I would. But unfortunately, I can't.
I wish you could.
I know.
Wish you could.
I love you. All right. You know what? We don't want to stay down. We want to bring the level up. So let's go ahead and jump into our drinks. That's what we're going to do. Mac, you know what? I can see the look on your face, as pained as you are, but I'd love to know what you're drinking today, brother. So what are you having? To fight through the bitter tears, what are you drinking?
At this point, it's just, it's turned and it's just all tears in the glass.
Oh,
that's all.
Sometimes it's necessary.
But originally it was a gin and tonic.
Oh,
in honor of our fallen brother, but it was made with cinnamon infused gin.
Oh, homemade cinnamon infused.
Homemade cinnamon infused gin. I took some of the aviation gin. Had the little infusion kit, so poured in some cinnamon and decided to go with just straight gin and tonic, but with the cinnamon infused gin, and it's pretty darn tasty. Paired it with some mixed nuts. It actually has a really good flavor with the two of them together.
Who doesn't like nuts in their drink? Come on.
Well, I mean, Hoss would have preferred them in his
He would.
mouth, but
this is definitely Hoss approved, I think. Absolutely.
I think
so this is just a gin and tonic, but cinnamon infused gin.
Cinnamon infused gin, straight gin and tonic. Other than that, though,
I saw a similar recipe. I'll see if I can look for it. There was like one other ingredient they added, and they called it kind of a wintry, like warming gin and tonic. But I'll see if I can figure out what that other ingredient was.
Yeah, I saw a couple of them. One of them was he used like apple infused gin, and then some cinnamon sticks to kind of give it like that apple pie taste, which I thought would have been good too.
Well,
almost like apple pie moonshine or something.
And none of us claim to be experts on this, but the more I kind of look into the gin and tonic, I begin to see the appeal. I mean, so much of it is the aromatic aspect of it. Kind of as it's greeting the nose coming forward, whether it is juniper or thyme or rosemary or whatever you go with. I bet that is pretty tasty.
That's the draw.
Yeah. It's a fairly simple drink that you can then, tweak any way you want to, like you said, with the different aromatics.
And what gin did you use?
It's the aviation gin from.
Okay, so that you did it at home.
Formerly,
that's what you're
from
using.
Ryan Reynolds. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. All right. Very nice. Basic gin and tonic with cinnamon infused gin, homemade cinnamon infused gin. Very nice.
Yeah.
All right. I will go next. I am also doing a gin and tonic in ode to our brother. Mine was a little different. I found a recipe for basic gin and tonic, which was just gin, lime, and tonic water. And Hoss had mentioned previously that it was the Fever Tree Indian tonic. And so I did get a hold of that. I haven't tried it yet, or I hadn't before this drink tried it, but he had mentioned that's the way to go. So I got it. and I figured I'd try it. Now, because I'm a Florida boy, I decided limes were not going to be good enough for this drink. So I am using key limes. And so you can see the cute little limes there. So I actually,
that sounds tasty.
yeah, my daughter's birthday was not that long ago, and she loves key lime. So I made a key lime cake / pie together for her birthday. I had some key limes.
Good.
Yeah, it was fucking delicious. There was key limes in the cake. There was key lime pie filling, and then the whipped cream on top. It was delicious. But I had key limes left over. So I thought I'm going to try it because I like a little bit more tart, which is why I like the key lime as opposed to regular lime. So I doubled the recipe. It was 3 ounces of aviation gin as well, Mac, as you did. And then an ounce of fresh squeezed key limes, and then topped with the Fever Tree Indian tonic over ice. And then as you can see, I just garnished with a few slices of key lime. So
now the question I have though is, I mean, it's been a minute since we've been to your house, but I assume you're expanding your yard because now you've got an orange tree, a lemon tree, a lime tree. Now you've got a key lime tree out in the
avocado tree.
Yeah, avocado tree.
That's
yeah,
right.
I mean,
avocado.
quite a garden you've got going back there.
I do. But again, you guys haven't been here for a while. So, I mean, when you come visit, there will be plenty for us to do. In terms of
you're going to put. I was going to say you're going to put our
you
asses
to
to work.
Yeah, that's right. So I guess it would just be a gin and tonic, but
it's so hot. Can we come in?
Bring a hat and sunscreen. You're gonna fucking need it. Yeah, but I used key lime just to give it that extra tart, and I actually really like it. It's actually pretty good.
Sounds good.
So that's what I'm doing. A gin and tonic. Like you, Mac, I tweaked it, but I did it on the lime side and just used key lime. So that's what I'm doing. Gin, key limes, and tonic water. All right. Grinch, what about you, brother? Last, since we are now down to 3.
I'm drinking a drink called loneliness. But it is better than drinking alone. No, it is real quick though. You talking about key lime just reminded me of, isn't it Dexter, where he keeps searching for like the perfect key lime pie? Does that ring a bell? He goes to like 9-12 different places. I think it's the records keeper that's like in the hospital. But anyway, I don't know that there is a name for this, but it is a strawberry and black pepper gin and tonic. I used the Botanist, the last of the Botanist gin, and then just standard tonic water and strawberries. So, and then freshly ground black pepper. For those that don't know the distinction of that, it's not fresh ground pepper. It's freshly ground. So when you're at a restaurant and you're like, can I get the fresh ground pepper? You're getting freshly grounded pepper. But yeah, I mean, I first time doing it, so I would need to tinker a little bit with how much pepper versus strawberry. I mean, but it's got a good flavor. The pepper's not popping necessarily, but it is there, and it's actually pretty good.
Is it a specific kind of pepper, or is it just table black? Black peppercorns.
Yeah, I just use
special?
black peppercorns.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Gotcha.
But you muddle the strawberries with the pepper, and then bring it all together in your preferred glass. And I did use a wide mouth glass, just to kind of see if I could
help it open it up a little.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So sounds like we're all doing gin and tonics.
Yes.
As a listener, if you don't know where this is going, then I don't know what to tell you. So before we start, obviously, to you gentlemen, cheers to the 3 of us and our gin and tonics, our strawberry black pepper, our cinnamon infused, and our key lime gin and tonic.
Cheers.
Skull.
Cheers. Shakalaka.
Yes. Or as Hoss would say, what is it? Prost?
Prost.
Yeah, I threw a prost in there.
Yes. All right. So let's.
I think.
Is it okay? Do we need a moment?
I got nothing.
Okay. So let's go ahead and jump into our topic. So as I mentioned at the outset of this, we are down by 1, and who knows what the future holds. As it stands right now, we are down by 1. Maybe Fancy Ace is available. Maybe there's a replacement waiting in the wings that we are unsure of at the moment. But today we are down by 1, and so we thought it would only fit to enlighten our viewers on who the Hoss is. And so we thought we would take today, since he is no longer here, that we would talk about him, who he is, a little bit of his backstory, some stories that are near and dear to our hearts, some things that have transpired with us as a group over the last 30 years, some funny bits that we've experienced on doing this show for almost a year and a half now. And we thought we would dedicate this episode exclusively to the Hoss. We've done an episode to Mac, the Macarita episode. We thought now was kind of fitting to do one for Hoss. And so that's what we're going to do today. You know what? We're going to tighten up our bootstraps. We're going to get it together, and we are going to shed a little light for our listeners on who the Hoss is and was, so that they have a better understanding. So that's what we're going to do. We've done our drinks. We've done our cheers. Everybody's here. We are going to elevate the mood in the room, and we are going to get started. So real quick, for those of you that may be new to the show, just now listening, if you were not aware or have not gone back and listened, the four of us have known each other more than 30 years. Met Hoss, the group, we met Hoss in the early 90s, 92, 93 timeframe, when his family relocated from South Carolina to Georgia, where we all were, and met through high school. And that is where the friendship has started. And now here we are 30 plus years later. We still keep in touch. We do this week in and week out. And so here we are. Please sit back, relax, and enjoy the legend of Hoss. Who would like to go first?
As I think about the old Hostarino, he does have an affinity for funny shirts. And, one story I remember about him that cracks me up is, he's also an entrepreneur and he's a hustler. Every day he's hustling. And he was trying to make a little bit of money on the side, and his ad campaign for what he was trying to do wasn't going well, which was he was dealing in some drugs, if I'm being honest. And
he's had his hands in a lot of pies over the years.
Yes. I mean, he is the modern man, and he was following the market, and he couldn't get the word out. So he decided to put on a shirt that said, "Who needs drugs? No, seriously, I have drugs." And he wore it around, and it worked up until it didn't.
I mean, if that's not a calling card, I don't know what is.
I mean, yeah.
And, he tried to get away from the cops. And this is where it gets even funnier, because he decided to do some parkour cartwheeling shit.
Right. If
it got filmed, which makes it even funnier.
Right. If you don't know Hoss, he is quite the nimble little man.
Yes.
Well, he's got cat-like reflexes.
He does. He does. Absolutely.
I couldn't believe it. Sadly, he was caught, despite his acrobatic efforts. So, being a man in the legal field, he decided he would defend himself in court, and he even took his shirt strategy to the next level, and wore a shirt that said "fuck the police." Now, Hoss is a supporter of the police. He was just in an angry place at the time. Felt he had been unfairly,
pigeonholed,
arrested, pigeonholed, if you will, railroaded, set up, etc.,
bamboozled.
So he articulated to the judge while wearing this "fuck the police" shirt that it was entrapment. I think that's what it was. It was entrapment. And he got off. He won his case. And so,
well, I was going to say, hold on. You said he got off. You have to be specific. You have to say he won his case, because he always gets off.
His Friday nights are legendary. They are the stuff of legend.
He was not arrested and ended up walking away with no charges. And thus, the legend of the Hoss-Ness monster was born.
Yeah, and continues to this day. I mean, as you said, he's always been kind of a go-getter. I mean, from the time we met him, he was always on the move and doing things. And I think that's one of the things you love about him, right? Even if you didn't understand it, you love the type of person, you loved his drive, you loved his motivation. I mean, it is why he is where he is today. Moving from Georgia to South Carolina, back to Georgia, folding up all his shit and moving halfway across the country to Las Vegas. I mean, it's just who he was. Shirts aside, personal marketing campaign aside. I mean, that encapsulates who Hoss is as an individual, if you don't know him. And I think that's one of the reasons we all love him. It's funny because I'm reminded of a story. It's been 6, maybe 7 years. after he left Vegas, he and his family relocated to Tennessee, Shelbyville, and they bought a really nice house on a large plot of land. And, they do love to entertain even today. And they always have. He's been a big family guy, loves having friends and family over, loves doing this entertaining. And one year he does this every July 4th. And one year he invites me up and I come up for July 4th. One of the things about Hoss, like at July 4th, loves fireworks. And that's his thing. But unfortunately, the weather being what it was that year, fireworks, unfortunately, were not in the cards. But that didn't that didn't deter Hoss. So what did he do? He stood in the front yard and started yelling, bang, boom. Like he didn't want people to be disappointed. Now, the neighbors, of course, didn't take kindly to it. But I think his justification was, look, if I had fireworks, you wouldn't be complaining. Just because it's me standing out here drunk, yelling and screaming like I'm a firework.
He couldn't let the party down.
No, I mean, he gives of himself tirelessly.
That's the kind of guy he is.
That's creative.
And was.
That's creative.
Was. It's like, look, if I can't give the people what they want the way it's intended, then I'm going to find a way to do it. And that's what he did and I was surprised that he could keep going, because it was like for 2 hours, he would just stand out there and scream, like those little whistling ones that are super fucking loud. Like he would do that shit.
Hey, look,
and
there's a whole bunch of women out there that are not surprised he can keep going and make those sounds
for hours.
I was going to say that for hours. But, I want to ask this question, though,
yes.
Because you're right. Hoss gives and gives and gives of himself. But did Hoss do that in typical Hoss fashion and completely strip down and make those noises?
I wasn't going to put that out there. I figured if he wanted to
tell
elaborate,
the story right.
You're right. I apologize. Yes. I mean, that
and I'm sure again, red, white, and blue.
That's
just the way he goes.
He loves his country. I know he lives abroad, but he'll tell you, I'm an American through and through, and I bleed red, white, and blue. Absolutely,
that man's a damn patriot.
As a graphic designer, I mean, he enlisted my help, and we spray painted him to look like an American flag. Was it easy? No. And the funny part is, if you know Hoss and his pasty white body, I didn't even need white paint. It was simply blue and red.
Just red, yeah.
It's fucking easy. But yes, absolutely. He was naked, painted as an American flag, and stood out there screaming at the top of his lungs like he was a human firework. And I tell you what, looking back, like the joy that it brought all of us.
I just got a patriotism boner right now.
Right. I mean,
is that a thing? I just want to know.
Oh, it is.
It is now.
You're saluting the flag.
That's right. There's no half mast. No half mast going on here.
You know what I love about this? As painful as it is that he's not here with us, we are still finding joy in the moment. In recounting these stories and talking, like doing this show with him for an hour or a year and a half now. Is like, we still find joy in that moment when we recount who he is. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Beautiful soul.
Yeah. It's not going to be the same without him. Clearly it's not going to be the same without him. I mean, we have to find a way, right? Because the train rolls on. And if you get left at the station, that's on you, but it is what it is.
I'm going to say though, for all the things that Hoss is, and I'm sure we'll mention some more.
Let's talk about what he wasn't.
One thing that he wasn't is a structural engineer.
No, that is for damn sure.
As you guys know, I spent a little bit of time at college rooming with the Hoss, and there was, as you do in college, we wanted to keep a nice, open floor plan for our room, so we, bunked our beds together, give us a little more space.
Thank God you're both small, svelte individuals.
Well, agreeing to take turns, with the top and the bottom beds. Let me put that out there before we get any smart aleck remarks.
Top and bottom. Who was the top and who was the bottom?
Well, this was my month to be on top. So,
as I'm sure he enjoyed.
Of course. This story's not painting me in a very good light all of a sudden. What the hell? So, yeah, as you guys know, I indulged in quite a bit of, alcoholic beverages in college. So I had decided to turn in early one night. Hoss was still out, partying, being the life of the party that he is. And I decided to come home, late one night. Well, Hoss didn't come home alone. So good on him for that. He did bring, a lady friend home with him. But what they didn't seem to realize is that when your beds are bunked, the top bed moves just like the bottom bed moves. So that was that was interesting. I got a little nauseous. And I had to get down, pull the mattress down, throw it on the floor. And God bless him, the man didn't miss a beat. I did not impact his
moment
performance at all, apparently. But he did not seem to grasp the concept that when that bed's a shaking, so's the top one.
That's right. Did you actually, when you have to climb off the bunk, like, are you putting your feet on his mattress? Like, dude, I'm getting down. Like, there's no indication.
No, there was kind of a ladder at the end.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't have
like,
to,
you can't sneak out of the bed. Like,
I high-fived him on the way down. She seemed a little put off by that, but
Did you? Why not just sleep in the hallway?
Yeah, I don't think at that point I could have made it much further than the floor. So
I mean, we've heard it here on this show. Like, his Friday nights, as I said, are legendary, and it clearly nothing's going to stop him in the moment.
I think this was a Friday night, actually. Now that you mention it, it started early.
But wasn't it also at college where he thought he was stuck in the closet for 2 days, and you came back from class and just opened the door, and he was like, "Oh, thank God. You finally released me." And you're like, "Bro, it's been
the worst part
the whole
was
time."
There wasn't even a door; it was a curtain.
A lot of
he
alcohol.
couldn't figure out how to get out.
Alcohol.
It was really a
lot of alcohol.
I think there might have been some shrooms or something there.
Yeah, I was going to say that's some kind of bender. He thought he was in like Narnia back in there.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to get wrapped up in that stuff, and when you think back, because 30 years is a long time, and I mean, we have gone through a lot, we've seen a lot together, which I think makes this bond super strong, and all the more impressive. Even being here on the show, our listeners obviously have heard some of kind of who he is. Like, if everybody goes back to the 4th episode, the social media episode, and his love of alcohol kind of paid dividends for all you listeners on that show. He was drinking the Boulevardier and got fucking hammered. And that is the oh God, what did he say? The behemothly decree. That was what that started. The behemothly decree. I vehemently disagree, I think is what he was trying to say. And it came out behemothly decree.
It came out so much better. So much better. I
mean, he is, by and large, Hoss, I think we would all agree, is a well-spoken individual. But man, when alcohol gets thrown in the mix, and of course, a lot of these things that you may hear about us talking about are probably going to be related on some level with alcohol somewhere in there.
Oh yeah.
And that was no different. Like, when he said that, I mean, we were all laughing. I've played it back. It's one of those things that it will live in infamy here in terms of just kind of the first time that somebody got bit by the Boulevardier, because he brought that drink to the table. But that was a beautiful moment. We were just hammering on social media, and he is a lover of social media, and that one jumped up and bit him. And, that kind of gives our listeners, if you don't know him personally, that gives our listeners kind of the glimpse early on, episode 4, of who he is and how he approaches things with reckless abandon. I think we'd agree.
And he clearly doesn't hold back, right? I mean, he is an open book.
He is.
He will, be the first to tell you that, getting dental work done in a train station bathroom is never going to end well. And you're usually going to get so high, you're going to shit yourself.
Right. We were all taken aback on that one.
Yeah. I mean, I think we all felt bad for him. I think we've all been pretty close to that point.
But Joe Average, I think, approaches the situation where it's like, I'm going to hold that one close to the chest. I'm not just going to put that out there that I shit myself.
I think I'm going to tell that to everybody.
I'm not going to do it. He has absolutely no compunction about being like, this is who I am. And you either take it or you leave it, love it or whatever. It's like, this is it. I shit myself. I was high. I mean, don't remember.
But this is the same guy, that claimed back during his drug dealing days that the syringes of drugs removed from his ass during a strip search were not his, and claimed somebody else owned them. So the man's mentally nimble, you know. He plays the
They were
odds. We know he's a
mine.
gambler.
I was storing them in the old prison wallet, so I didn't get caught.
Dude, hold these for me.
man.
Hold these for me.
He will take one for the team.
Oh.
He is a true team player.
How many syringes was it? It was a
I
couple.
think
So it sounds like he took more than one.
It was about a fistful, so maybe about like
Wow.
that.
I think it was 3. I think it was 3, according to
They were big though.
The details I understand. Yeah.
Well, you know, I guess with the adventures of the butt plug, like when that, and you're well
I think that's
prepared
what
for
he's
those.
been
He was,
alluding to.
he was practicing.
He's been
Right.
alluding to that. That's like his term of art to cover what he's really getting at,
Exactly.
which is being a mule.
Wait, don't they have, Mac? You were the one that said that, right? In Mexico, like you can pretend what it's like to actually cross the Mexican border.
Oh, yeah.
Was that when it was? Was he with you? We just didn't know it.
Yeah,
No, maybe
we,
not.
we
Well-
were pretending to cross the Mexican border.
Oh, you
with our
guys and your
coyote.
secrets.
Some, you know, Grinch. Sometimes we do miss out on the good ones.
Mhm.
See,
We can't
you-
all be in every place at the same time, all the time.
you
It's just not.
you
feasible.
just get you've got to really listen to the intricacies of the story and you'll get everything.
Yes. And as our
But
listeners,
let's be honest. Real quick, I'm sorry. Let's be
no,
honest.
go.
Hoss would not fare well in Mexico. Thor would
That's
attest to. You know, we went to visit him in Vegas one time
Yes.
in August, and I actually believe it was Hoss's idea to go play golf.
Yes.
You know, which we all enjoy. You know, I shouldn't say playing golf because none of us play golf. We go out and hit the ball around.
Right.
But you know, as you can imagine, August in Las Vegas, I think it was 110 degrees during the day.
114, I think it was.
Yeah, something like that.
But it's the
And
dry heat, man.
It's a dry heat. It'd be
Mhm.
fine.
Mhm.
I think we got through 2 holes, and Hoss was like, "You guys can keep playing. I'm not getting out of the cart again."
I'll be sitting in the car, right?
He was pretty much burnt already.
Yeah.
He had lathered on the sunscreen.
Yeah.
How,
And it was
how
an
he
ex-
made it that long out there, I don't know.
Yeah, it was a Callaway executive course. It was only 9 holes.
It was, yeah, but
But
it was
it's
all
Vegas,
dirt.
no fucking trees in the desert, basically.
Yeah.
And so there was nowhere to hide for shade.
No, look, I will. I'll be the first to admit it was hot as fuck.
It was.
But I felt horrible for him because you just we looked over, and I mean, like I said, I was hot, but I was willing to tough it out because I'd flown halfway across the country
Right.
to hang out with you guys. But he apparently knew his limits, and he said, "Fuck this shit, I'm done."
But it's why we agreed to then go after dark, that we could go and shoot 9 with no sun. He
Oh,
wouldn't get
that's
beat to
right.
death, right? So
We
now,
were going to go play golf that
yes,
night.
we were going to go play
Something
golf. And,
happened though. What was that?
well, Grinch had said he's kind of what
Nimble.
did you say? Nimble of mind,
Yes.
right? But one thing Haas seems to lack is being fleet of foot. Just saying.
As evidenced by his cartwheeling escape attempts.
Yes. He had a 2-story house out there in Henderson, and he was like, "Hey, why don't we go and let's play golf? It's dark. I won't get beat to death on the sun. I can participate with you guys." We're like, "Fuck yeah, let's do it."
So real quick though, while it was dark and you weren't going to get beat up by the
It's still
sun,
fucking hot.
I think when we got in the car, after you got through the story though, it was still 100 degrees
Right.
and the sun was
Exactly.
down.
Yes.
So sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. So he's like, "Yeah, let's go." So we're like, "Absolutely." And we're going down the stairs. He's in front. Now, he claims there was a dog on the step. I did not see it.
I didn't see it either.
Honestly, between just me, you, and the walls here, I think he knew if I go play golf with these guys, I'm going to get the shit kicked out of me. I don't want to be embarrassed. So he threw himself down the stairs. It was the weirdest thing. And he's like, "Oh,
That's it.
fucking dog. Oh. And he bounced a few times and, tried to catch himself, lands at the bottom and had twisted his ankle. And I
It's
felt
like the Eddie
bad.
Murphy bit. Oh,
Yeah.
shit. Oh, Lord Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Another thing he won't be is a stuntman.
That's true. That's true. And I felt bad, but yeah, he did injure himself. He did fall down the stairs. And so it was a trip to the ER as opposed to a trip to the executive golf course that night. But thankfully he did mend And the entire trip was not ruined, but I did feel bad for him. But yeah, I think up here, I think he was like, I'm going to get embarrassed if I go. I'm just going to throw myself down the stairs.
Well, he probably would have been right.
It's possible. But I do remember that night.
Again, with the what Hoss is and what he isn't. I'm reminded of a certain spring break in high school. Now,
he's a marathon runner.
We know he's an avid runner.
He is.
Every morning. And on that trip, he still swears to this day that his ass got up and did a morning run at the beach when we were at at a campsite, waking up like sweating, smelling like ass, hot as balls. Of course, I wake up, his ass is still racked out, but of course he claims he got up, ran down the beach, and got back before we even woke up. And it's a story he stands by.
He's an early riser.
I think in his mind, he really did that. I think he believes that.
It's possible. I mean, I wasn't there, so I can't speak on the subject, but it's possible.
Well, so I think it was the same trip. We were broke. We were all broke. I mean, every day was like, scraping together enough money just to get like a 12 pack or a 24 pack of like Red Dog or whatever the hell that beer was at the time.
Right.
And a certain New Yorker was with us on that trip. And we had the white van, if I recall.
That would be your van.
Yes.
Yes.
And I may be muddling two trips together, but the funny part of the story is absolutely true, which was the night before we got ready to head back, he passed out and we wrote shit all over him.
Nice.
As you do when you're a true friend.
Do not pass out.
Shit. He slowly discovered the whole drive back.
It's like, what the fuck? Nobody show this man a mirror.
We'd be like,
is this a dick on my face?
We'd be like on hour 2. And he's like, what the fuck is this?
Wait till you take your pants off.
So we're like rolling in on fumes. We had one stop where we got some food at McDonald's before we made it all the way back into Atlanta. And I get like a water, a small fry, and like a cheeseburger. That's literally what I had. And our New York buddy, very similar. It was all like dollar menu or cheaper, or whatever we could pull off. And we looked like desperate, like, no. This motherfucker comes back with like a supersized deluxe meal.
You're like, you motherfucker.
And we're like, what the fuck is this?
Look.
He just looks at us. He's like,
he had to carbo load after all of his running.
That's true.
Look, the man loves food. There's no denying the man enjoys a good meal.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so, it is what it is.
As long as that's, a 12-piece combo from Bojangles.
Or Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
Well, there's also that time where he was so desperate for some Hooters wings that he called 911. He didn't have a ride, so he called 911 and said that his elderly grandmother was there and needed to get there. And so police officer dispatched, sent a police officer, picked him up, took him to the Hooters, only to find out his mother is not, or grandmother is not there, and she is perfectly healthy.
Right.
And he got cited for improper use of 911.
That's a poor man's Uber.
I'm just saying, you don't know. Sometimes it is difficult to get a fucking Uber. It is.
Yeah.
And he took matters into his own hands. He's like, I'm not going to let this stop me.
He's a problem solver.
Absolutely, he is. Yes, he is. I have had the fortune of doing some things with Hoss, like driving cross country, helping him move from Atlanta to Vegas, and being in that situation, traveling cross country in a moving vehicle, in a moving van with all of his stuff loaded in the back. And I know when we started the trip, he's like, hey, we take some time off, help me move to Vegas. And I was like, absolutely. He's like, we'll take like a week and we're going to travel cross country and we're going to see everything. And I was like, absolutely. I'd never done it, to be in a road trip with him. I was like, dude, get to spend time with you. I'm in, count me in. So yeah, we get the truck and, man, we set out and we leave Atlanta in the afternoon, unfortunately, because the way the day just happened to work. And we kind of plowed through that first night. And it was like, okay, we're just going to try to get as far as we can. We'll settle for the night. The next day, we'll kind of take our time, slow roll. But unfortunately, some things happened in Vegas. And it was like, hey, I know this trip was supposed to be XYZ, but we need to kind of just get there. And I was like, that's fine. That's fine. We just do what we got to do. I'm still hanging out with you somewhere. And if you haven't made that trip, aside from it just being visually boring as fuck across North Texas and all of these kind of nondescript locations, we get into New Mexico. I don't know. It's like, I think it's like 1 a.m, 2 a.m. I mean, we have just been plowing through the miles. And I remember I'm sitting in the passenger seat. He's driving. It's like 2 a.m. We've gone from Atlanta.
Why am I envisioning like John Candy?
Planes, trains, and automobiles.
Yes.
Where are your hands? Pillows. Those aren't pillows.
I just remember I'm sitting in the passenger seat, and I can't remember if it was like a Ryder or a Penske or whatever. But it's 2 a.m.
There's fucking. It was a Ryder.
There's snow everywhere. I'm fucking freezing. Like, because I'm in Florida, man. I don't have cold weather gear. I'm just fucking shivering, and he's just fucking plowing along, and he's like, no, we'll stop. I'm just like, I'm so fucking cold, bro. I can't do this. I'm like, God damn it.
Could you guys not splurge for the truck with heat?
No.
Well, again, we thought we were going to have time. We weren't planning to be driving through the middle of the night.
On a scale of 1 to almost dying, colder than the night we were camping?
No.
Okay.
No, but it was one of those things where it was just like, even running the heat, it was just so fucking cold, man. But that man was determined. He's like, we've got to get there. And I was like, absolutely. It was a great trip. Loved going with him. Loved being there. Loved hanging out in Vegas with him. But yeah, it was not the trip either of us had envisioned when we went. But that night, I just remember being in New Mexico, and I'm just like, I'm fucking freezing. Like, we've got to get a hotel. And yeah, we got a hotel. Woke up the next morning. It was like snow on the ground, but crystal fucking blue skies. It was beautiful. I was like, oh, because I had never been that far west before. And so I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. But yeah, I love doing that. That's one of those where it's like kind of, I won't say once in a lifetime, but it's not something I'd ever done.
Kind of like that, yeah.
It is, but it was like, hey, you want to do this? And I was like, absolutely. I had just gone through a divorce. I mean, it was just a weird time. And he had just gotten married the August of that year. And so this was in December. But I mean, it was a great trip. But I just remember I was freezing my fucking ass off, and we're just plowing through the miles. But yeah, I really enjoyed getting to hang out. That's like, Mac, you going to college with him. Like that's a moment that you got. Right. I didn't get that. Grinch didn't get that. Mm-hmm. Me being able to do that trip with him was kind of that.
Yeah, we did a trip up to South Carolina. I mean, obviously not nearly as much of a drive. And it was the classic, who gets to be DJ? We're listening to this and that. Yeah, but yeah, that's the closest thing. Not a multi-day, 3-hour tour.
Right. Yeah, because I remember he's like, yeah, we'll stop at all these places. And I was like, absolutely. As a photographer, I was like, I'll get to take all these pictures. And then it was just like, nope, we're plowing through the trip. I was like, okay, I'm here. Let's do it.
So what I'm hearing is you're pretty pissed that you didn't get to see the world's biggest ball of yarn.
Wow, it was on my bucket list. Yeah. But my love of Hoss, he needed to get there, and I was like, let's go. That's fine. Let's just do it. He did a Waffle House on that trip in somewhere in Arkansas. Ate at a fucking Waffle House. I remember that.
Was that the one where he did the finger guns and stole the napkins?
As a matter of fact, it was. Yes. I mean, look,
I think he's done.
I just asked for the napkins. Why pretend like you're robbing a Waffle House with finger guns?
Yeah.
Just to get ask napkins. For the napkins.
The napkins are free. Yeah.
Look,
not like the salt and pepper shakers and ashtrays that he stole in college from the Waffle House. I see where you might have needed the finger guns.
Yeah. I mean, there are times he does have a warped sense of humor. I think we can all agree with that. But I thought that was a little over the top for my taste. And I was just like, dude, I just need some napkins. He's like, all right, well, I'll take care of it. And he comes running out. I mean, thankfully the motor's running. I'm like, I'm thinking they're getting robbed, not by him, but I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And he jumps in and we take off. I'm like, what the fuck? And he goes, I got your napkins, bro. I'm like, what?
Well, and the thing he comes running out in a ski mask, but with Hoss,
which he didn't have when he went in.
But that's just normal Friday night gear for him, so you can't tell.
Well,
You know,
I mean,
that-
there was that
that's something new.
full dog costume he had that I still wonder what that was all about. I've been hesitant to ask any questions. Rumor has it there's some videos out there, but I don't.
They're not ones you want to see.
You don't want to see.
No.
I mean, it's like the assless chaps. We're never, probably for our own benefit, we're never going to see it. But he
urban
claimed,
legend.
I know, he claimed, I'm going to do it. He's not going to do it.
I will say, you know, the Grinch Casa hosted a number of parties, but we had several parties at the old Hoss compound.
Oh, yeah.
And I do remember standing next to a hole in the wall we were trying to patch when the parents
come walking in,
rolling back in.
This is part of that. Hoss is not a structural engineer.
And it's like, oh, you're home early.
Damn it.
And what do they call them, the slide doors in front of the washer and dryer, like off,
like closet style doors. I mean,
in my mind it went better than I would have thought, but granted, I think we were told to leave pretty shortly thereafter. So
after you finished mudding and drywalling.
That's it. How many of you remember the Hoss-mobile, the Chevette, the white Chevette?
The
Chevette. Yeah, I remember him coming down Bethany Church, and he cut over into the turn. He got hit turning into the neighborhood because he had come across the lane and was in like a turn lane, an oncoming turn lane or some shit to turn in, and got T-boned and could no longer get out the driver's side door.
Well, didn't you have to like close it? You had to close it from the outside, didn't you? Like open it and close it from the outside?
You may have had to.
And I think the blinker was a screwdriver.
Yeah.
Because he tossed it up on the dash.
Yes, it was a vehicle. It was a legendary vehicle. I mean, it screamed Hoss.
He had to get a running start to get up my driveway.
Bro, we all had to do that. I mean, that fucking driveway was no joke.
Yeah.
Vehicles were lost to that driveway.
And you had to make sure that you set your emergency brake when you parked at the top.
Absolutely.
Or you were going to take out the neighbor's mailbox.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. There were days I was like, I just want to pull up and just turn sideways in your driveway so that I don't slide down. It's like,
but then your car just rolls down.
Yep. Yeah, it is hard to believe when you think about it. 30 years and all that has transpired and all that we've gone through. And he's obviously now a world traveler. He's been to Europe multiple times. Now lives abroad. Yeah, I mean, it's clearly not. When you think back on it,
I still think he's what is it, on the lam, on the run. Because
he's finding himself
of that incident where he got pissed off at the Wendy's because they got his order wrong, so he tossed an alligator through the window.
Look, I told you the man loves food,
right? Yeah, but damn, I mean,
he loves food, and you do not fuck with that.
I think he made his point.
But that brings up another point. The time he went to the McDonald's and got so pissed at them because they wouldn't get his order right that he called the police, and then refused to leave. And so the police arrested him. And again, I'm detecting a pattern here. Found a bunch of cocaine stuffed up his butt. I mean,
it didn't work the first time.
Right.
I don't understand.
Don't keep going back to the well. No pun intended.
Why is that dog nose so far up your ass?
Yes, that's right.
And it's not even a Friday night.
That's it. I think Hoss was probably asking himself, is it Friday? Is it Friday? Yeah.
He does love the dogs. So, he was probably okay. He just doesn't love the dogs.
The dogs. Yes. And it's interesting because, like I said, the man loves food. We went to a Chick-fil-A one time right before he got married. And the manager, like for every instance like that you talk about, we went to Chick-fil-A right before he got married. And the manager gave him free Chick-fil-A, extra Chick-fil-A because he was getting married. So, I mean, for every bad story, there's always one there that offsets it. That's a positive story. Because I was surprised. The guy came out and he's like,
loves his Chick-fil-A.
He does. And they were like, I just congratulate you for, the fact that you're getting married and here's free Chick-fil-A.
And what was the prank that the family did for his wedding? Did they put like itching powder all over the clothes?
Did they?
That? No. Yeah, there was something about like the Hoss family has like a tradition of doing a prank like the night of getting married. And I think he found out they put like itching powder. I want to say that's what it was, all over their clothes. So he had to like do laundry that night when we were hanging out at the house after the wedding.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah,
Look,
I seem to
knowing
recall
Mama
that.
about the Hoss, I could easily
Yeah.
believe that.
Yeah.
And it's possible. I was too busy just trying to help his parents just make sure everything was going smoothly that night. Because, you know, it's one of those, they're getting married. You want to take the pressure off them. So it's like making sure everybody else is taken care of. And then, of course, you and I got to hang out later that night. We went to Waffle House in the middle of the night.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, that's
Didn't hold
possible.
up the place. You know,
No.
No,
I was
we
finger
didn't-
guns.
Just
Because you
ate and
didn't
paid.
need napkins. You kept your shit clean. You know.
That's it. That is it. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
God, there's so many stories when you think back on it. It's just like, it's hard to believe. I
He's
wonder
like
what you guys will say about me.
He's like
Nothing
an ogre.
good, probably.
Ogre in an onion. Lots of layers.
Layers.
It's
Parfait.
like a parfait.
Everybody loves a parfait.
Yeah.
No, it's an onion.
And you know, he's the other guy that, you know, just has the fantastic idea to rappel out of your window.
Mm.
You know, you don't
Was
really
it
need
his
any
idea? I mean, didn't we bring the repelling gear to you?
Yeah, it was
Hold on,
mine.
though. Was there actually repelling gear?
Yeah,
I recall-
it was
we had
mine.
we had a rope. We had a rope and
Well, then what else do you need?
we
right?
and we either made a Swiss seat or we had a harness. I mean,
Had
I
a
think
harness.
we made a harness, didn't we?
No, it was my harness. It was my
Was it
gear.
your
I brought it.
harness?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey,
And we know how
that's-
that ended.
I successfully landed on the ground,
In the book.
relatively unscathed.
Yeah. It isn't how you left the window that matters. It's how you land on the ground.
I don't know what structural engineer assessed the thing we tied into, but
Clearly wasn't Haas.
I think it was the curtain that was covering his closet door. It didn't hold up well.
Oh, shit.
well, that was probably the same night he got ran off because he decided he wanted to go traipsing through the woods and jump on a trampoline he knew was down the road naked, which I thought was a bit much.
But if you know Hoss, that's just, you know, I mean,
He just kept saying, look,
normal.
it bounces. And I was like, I'm not looking, man. I'm not looking.
It might hit me in the eye.
Exactly.
I can't take that chance.
Things you can't unsee. I was like, no.
Oh, Haas, you're texting us if you only knew. And it's interesting. You know, we talk about, you know, drinking and partying and all the things, you know, college and stuff like that. He is also the type of person who never wants the party to end. And actually, on one trip during a party, he actually stole a tiki bar because they were trying to shut things down. And he was like, no, I will take this party elsewhere, and stole a goddamn tiki bar and took it.
He saw it like had a motor on it or something. It was like a pontoon thing.
And just took it because he's like, this party does not end until I say it ends. And then
Of course-
again,
of course,
he's a
all of us
giver.
still on land as he kept motoring away. We're like,
what do you do?
Hey, come back.
Exactly.
we're like, we'll meet you down at the next pier.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah. Way to go. Steal a seafaring craft that has a speed of 2.
That's right. No one will ever catch you ever.
We literally
Exactly.
like walked along the beach next to
We'll meet you.
I'm pretty sure that the Coast Guard had to like get out of their boat because it was going too fast
Slow, right,
to
right,
catch
right.
him.
We
They-
can't
they had
slow
to, like,
down to
start
get
swimming.
you.
They kept drifting by him. Whoa. All
Yeah.
right, next best.
That's right.
And they were like, why is our
Exactly.
dog so riled up?
The dog usually doesn't put his nose up people's butt. What's going on?
Well, little did he know all the cocaine that was like stashed away on that thing. He had a lot of
Yeah.
explaining to do. And all of a sudden the owner, I think that's how he got away with it,
Yep.
is they were more focused on the fact they discovered the cocaine. And, you know, he somehow managed to wiggle his way out of things by being a damn hero again, is really what he was.
Oh,
He was
yeah.
citizens
I mean, I think
arrest, you know,
There's
or
one
bust.
word to describe Hoss. It's hero.
That's for sure.
Yeah,
For sure.
without a doubt.
Again, thank God he's nimble of thought.
Yes.
Exactly.
if he could only be fleet of foot, that man would be
He'd be
unstoppable.
dangerous. Dangerous. You know, it's interesting. We recount some of these stories 30 years in the making. I wonder what the next 30 years will hold. Like if we look back in the next 30 years and say, you know, what would these stories look like?
I'm
we could tell
I'm
these
pretty
stories.
sure that somewhere along the line, there's going to be a story that involves him stealing a huge dick-shaped handle
From a
sex
door.
store. He's mentioned it a couple times. He's seen that handle. He seems to really want it. I think that might be his next attempt at, using the finger guns, as we're going to call them, to steal that.
Exactly. Yeah. But, and at the end of the day, all of this aside, like he is a true brother in arms. He would stand up for anybody. He will be there for all of us. I mean, it's just one of those things, and we appreciate and we love him for that fact. But thinking back on a lot of these stories, it's like, wow. Sometimes just recounting it goes,
we still alive?
I didn't realize the man he was until we start recounting the stories, right? Because you don't always realize it when you're so close to it.
We're talking about a guy who literally broke into a jail to hang out with us. Now, we won't get into the story why we were there.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not talking about us. We're talking about him.
I'm pretty sure those records are sealed.
Anyway, I just remember looking up. I was like, okay, he's got the keys. What is he doing with them?
Yeah.
As he unlocks the door, gets in with us, locks it back, and tosses the keys.
Why didn't you let us out? What are you doing?
Oh, I love you, man.
Because he's not going to break the law by letting us out.
Right.
But him coming in is okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
Hey, he knows the law. He knows the law. He's savvy.
That is true.
Legal says we're allowed to say he knows the law.
Yes. Oh God. I didn't really realize the legend of the Hoss-Ness monster was
so extensive.
That's
what I'm saying. It's like learning who he is all over again just by telling the stories. There's a beauty to it, man. There's a kind of poetry to it, just speaking it into existence.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate him for it.
As large as the prison wallet that stores the syringes. That is the legend that is Hoss.
I will say there is one conundrum, and maybe you guys know, maybe you don't, but there is one thing about him to me that remains a mystery. Where did his love of butt plugs come from?
I think we unwrapped that present.
Yeah, I think it's. It's not necessarily a love. I think it's training for his new job, right? I mean,
mule.
If
right?
You can keister a butt plug, you can keister a kilo. So
I mean, we're talking.
Can we shape that like a butt plug, please?
We're talking about a guy who's so clever that used the legal defense when he got pulled over that he was only sipping from the bottle of Jim Beam next to him at stop signs.
Right.
I
wasn't driving and drinking.
Technically, he was not. Yeah, he was not.
I wasn't drinking and driving.
I mean, the man makes a compelling argument.
Legal says I wasn't drinking and driving. I was only drinking when I was stopped. Now, of course, if you know Hoss like we know Hoss,
against drinking and stopping.
Right. The man can operate at some unhealthy levels of intoxication where I can't.
Oh God, no. Yeah.
It's so I give him kudos for that. And we joke about his 4-finger pour and stuff like that. Like he can function at a level I cannot function at. And so that's why he's able to do that. He's able to drink at a stop sign and then keep driving, be perfectly fine. I can't do that.
The legend grows.
It does.
The problem is when he gets, blood into his alcohol. That's when the proportions go off and he has
too much blood in the alcohol level.
Yeah.
In the alcohol system. Exactly.
Like that time he ripped the urinal from the restaurant bathroom wall.
Oh, yes.
And ran away naked into the woods. It's like, I got to have something to pee into.
Yes.
We're like,
there are moments.
It is a urinal. Just leave it there.
There are moments where the alcohol will better you. As I mentioned, episode 4, social media, the alcohol will occasionally jump up and bite you. That was another prime example, Grinch, ripping a urinal off the wall.
I do think, though, that it might be time. I know he's not going to be back with us, but that we go ahead and start a GoFundMe page to buy this man some clothes. Because he seems to always,
or at least some assless chaps,
right?
Yeah.
I mean,
something
at least
to cover the front, at least, because
we know he's got to have access to the back, so
but we
can't cover the front.
But we also know if we do this, we can't have him out in the sun because he's a pasty white boy.
Oh, that's true.
So we have to manage that situation carefully.
We'll have to get some of those, like they make the swim shirts that have the UV protection built in. We'll have to get him some assless chaps with the UV protection built in.
Yes,
we do not want to burn the wiener.
That's true.
Yeah, for sure.
And I tell you, being on this show with him has been a pleasure because he brings a dynamic to this show. He brings an irreverence, something that only he can bring to the show, whether it's his butt plug jokes, whether it's his devil's advocate approach to any of our debates. I mean, it's whether or not it's getting lost in the Boulevardier and behemothly decreeing whatever we're talking about.
Or just the passion with which he can drop a boom shakalaka.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't care that it's midnight
Nobody
where
else
he's
can
at.
do that.
No.
And the neighbors
Fuck my
are trying
neighbors.
to sleep.
Right.
Or shaking his booty while slapping it on camera, only to be admonished by the missus.
Right.
Well,
that was gold.
The woman can put him in his place.
She was only concerned that he was not sharing with her. And
That's
we were
possible.
getting to see that. She really wanted to see it.
Yeah.
So I can appreciate that.
Absolutely. She keeps him in check in a way that no one else can.
Which is good. He needs it.
Yes. Well,
But we don't bring him
know
on the show to keep him in check. We want him to
Oh,
run
no.
free.
Yes. He's like what's the zebra in Madagascar? Like he needs to be in the wild.
Yes.
Free Hoss.
Chris
Hoss.
Rock. He does
Yes.
the voice. I can't remember the name of Zebra. Exactly.
Go to the wild.
At the end of the day, no matter what we talk about, no matter what stories we recount, I mean, the legend is solidified and will continue to be so. I think in all of our hearts, that's never going to change.
I don't even think Dirty Sanchez knew this much about him.
But Dirty Sanchez probably has some other good stories that we don't know
That's
about.
true. We should have had him on.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Damn
it.
That's true. Yes.
Think about that. I'm sure there are a lot of stories that maybe we're not even privy to.
Oh, I'm sure.
And it's interesting. I'm happy that he was able to move abroad. Sad in a way, it's not the same. But the fact that we're able to get on here week in and week out with him. I'm sorry, I'm getting choked up.
Take your time. Take your time.
There's something about it. Obviously that we will miss. And I appreciate all of you, and I appreciate him, and I appreciate these stories, and I appreciate you guys taking the time to come on and talk about them and recount them. Things that, again, I wasn't in Panama with you, Grinch, when he was there running on the beach. If
Apparently
that's
neither
what
was
he
I.
did. They're just, I think we all have our moments with him, and we all kind of fill in the gaps for each other with him, and things that we've experienced with him that we have, others may not have been able to experience. But at the end of the day, he holds a special place in all of our hearts. And, him not being here is obviously, it's no indictment on any of us. I think he loves being here as much as we love having him. And some of these stories, as outrageous as they are, may or may not be true. And for all you listeners out there, frankly, we'll let you decide what you think is true and not. It's not for us to say. But if you've listened to us for the last year and a half and you've listened to Hoss, you know the type of person he is. Maybe they're all true. Maybe some of them are not true. It's hard to say. But we were extremely happy to be able to come on here and shed a little light on who he was, who he is, our history with him, the things that we've experienced with him, the things that we know of him. And before we close out the show, is there anything anybody else would like to say about the man, the myth, the legend?
Love him from the heart of my bottom.
Yes, absolutely. He is a man among men. He is a gentleman. He has been there for all of us. Would continue to be there for all of us. Were that in the cards, but it obviously it was with a heavy heart that we had to say, he is not here, but thankfully he'll be here next week. And he doesn't know what's coming. He has no idea we've recorded this episode. And so it'll definitely be interesting to see his take when he listens back to this, just to see how it is. So for all of our listeners at home, we loved having you here in the studio with us, listening to the legend of the Hoss-Ness monster, the stories, as I said, the man, the myth, the legend. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here. I loved hearing your stories. Loved recounting this with you. And, as always, feel free to reach out to us at the 4 Horsemen. I guess I should change that to the 3 Horsemen. Should I not?
Trace Hoss-Ness.
What?
I don't
Just
know.
for this week, though, right?
Yes. So please reach out, the four horsemen at aspiriteddebate.com. If you have a story about Hoss, if you know him personally, if you know the man, the myth, the legend, we'd love to hear from you.
Looking at you, Dirty Sanchez.
That's it. So please feel free to go ahead and reach out to us. A topic you'd like us to debate, a drink you'd like us to try. Hit up our website at aspiriteddebate.com. All of our drinks are there. Give us feedback. Let us know what you think of the show. As always, thank you to you, gentlemen. Thank you to our listeners. Love being here doing this week in and week out, and we will do this again next week. The views, information, or opinions expressed during the A Spirited Debate podcast series or any affiliated podcast are solely those of the hosts or guests involved and do not represent those of people, institutions, or organizations that the host or guests may or may not be associated with in a professional or personal capacity, unless explicitly stated. While guests are invited to listen, listeners acknowledge that they are not being provided professional advice from the podcast or its guests. The content within the parameters of A Spirited Debate podcast series or any affiliated podcast are for entertainment and educational purposes only. Any views or opinions are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, or individual.